Check. 1, 2, there we go. All right, everybody, let's get started. Hey, Eric, Tom, Brandon, Tanisha. Before we get started, this is the lesson of the week. This is the new lesson of the week. We're going to be doing all of this stuff live now. Everything and anything I'm going to try and do live. I think it's a much better situation. Honestly, it's a lot more fun for me instead of just talking to a camera and recording. I'm still talking to a camera, but at least you're now on the other side of it and we're live. So that's a pretty awesome thing. So this is going to work just like all the lessons of the week. You can hear the track that we're playing. This went live today. This one, I posted up a little thing on social media weeks ago, and here it is finally live. And we're going to talk about soulful continuous bending, which is kind of what I was doing in that social media post, which was just improv a few weeks ago. Let's get started there. I'm going to play the lick that we're going to learn, and then like every other lesson of the week format, we're going to break it down, we're going to practice it, we're going to use it, we're going to trade, and then at the end, save all your questions for the end. If you can't remember them, write them down, jot them into your phone, whatever it takes. But I want to have a consistent format to these lessons so that you know what to expect. Lick, breakdown, practice, jam, and then we'll get to all the questions, all right? Forgive me if I have to pause here and there. I'm working with some new cameras, new format, but I think this is going to be a lot of fun and it's going to be really awesome. Okay, so let me start off by, first of all, hit the button that's above, if you're watching this live, that's above you, and download the PDF for today. If you're watching this in the archive, you don't have to do that. You can always download it though if you want to, of course. Everything sounds good. Let's get started. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're doing today. All right. We are going to do this very simple but extremely soulful and beautiful continuous bending. Now, I've mentioned this before as the sliding bend, the bending slide, whatever you want to call it. I'm just now calling it, for this purpose anyway, some continuous bends, which is just really flavorful. It's got a ton of character, personality, every note should. But when we do these things and we just kind of move up and down, we're not reattacking it, so it's gonna die. And that's okay. That kind of adds to kind of this, and again, as guitar players with bending, making this guitar speak, make it yell, make it cry, all that great stuff, by doing these continuous bends and not reattacking, which you can do, but I'm not doing that. But just bending and moving the note and letting it kind of die, that adds to the dynamic level that we're working with. And it's really, really awesome. So let's dive in and let's break this lick down. And we're gonna take a look at the chart right here. I'm gonna pause the music for a second. So what you can see here, again, this is pretty simple stuff. This is in C major. By the way, of course, if you're a player or pro member, go ahead and check out the jamtrack. Sorry, my brain is a little slow today. Check out the jamtrack tutorial. There is a beautiful non-diatonic chord change that happens in the chorus. That's what that video is for. Check that out, okay? It just steps out of C major for just a second. And you can plow over it with C major if you really, really want to. It'll be okay, but we can certainly dive deeper into that and get better results. Check out the jamtrack tutorial. But if we take a look at this right here, and again, part of the new format, I'm going to be doing more screen sharing, and obviously here we're taking a look at the tab. We're taking a look at the music notation, and I think it's awesome to be able to look at this while we discuss it. You know, I think that's pretty cool. So again, working in C major, this is really simple. This is in 6/8. This is a nice slow track in 6/8, so it's at 52 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that's how we're breaking up the measures, all right? First measure there, you can see we're coming in with a couple of 16th notes that are tied to a 16th note triplet, by the way. But again, don't let the music reading trip you up. Just use your ear, okay? But music reading is an awesome thing. There's a great article that Steve Lukather was just a part of talking about the importance of knowing theory and the importance of being able to read music. That's neither here nor there, but I thought I'd mention that because he's, of course, Steve Lukather is a king amongst guitar players with the amount of experience that he has. He's also an amazing guitar player, but it's the experience that he has that's just out of this world. And he goes on to say how theory and music reading made his career, essentially. So anyway, just a little side mention there. But the first thing that we're getting started with here... Okay, if we get up close here, we're just playing G... Sorry, if we get up close here, we're just playing G, A, and C. Okay, 12th fret, 14th fret of your G string, and then up to C on the 13th fret of your B string. We're just starting there. In the key of C major, that's the 5, that's the major 6, and the 1, the octave. And that's where B.B. King lived a lot when he was playing this kind of blues, like major blues. So you get this sound. Right, and it's just a beautiful, it's not minor blues, there is major blues, and I like to make that distinction because a lot of times when, you know, we go to a jam and people are saying, yeah, let's just do this in A blues. Well, what blues? Minor blues, major blues, dominant blues? What are you talking about? We have to be specific with the quality, at least in my world, on a professional level. If you don't have that quality in there, you know, it just could be a recipe for disaster. But generally speaking, when people are talking about blues, they do mean minor blues, but there is others, and that's the point. So again, if we take a look at this, we're just bringing it right back down the A and the G again. And then if you take a look here, as we get to the second measure, it's only one note. And in a track like this, I think it's really awesome to emphasize space. Something a lot of musicians on an early level, beginner level, even intermediate, as you get into being a musician and improvising and all that great stuff, leaving space, just stop playing. You know, as much as I do, that sometimes that's easier said than done. And it's like, why? Why don't I just stop playing? It's just like that, where I stop talking. When you leave space, it adds to the dynamic level. It adds to the storytelling. It adds to the communication, which again, this is a communication device. So we have to leave space. You know, it's really important. So I wanted to put in a note that you just throw out there, and it just kind of, think of it like you're throwing a football down the field. It just kind of sails, and then it comes down, You know, that's all we're doing right here. So in this second measure, you can see we're going to go up to D on the 15th fret. And we're just going to bend that up a whole step. Right, and we're leaving that up there for, you know, the full measure. So that's a measure of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, let it die, let it just come back down. So up to that point right there, that's all we're doing so far, okay? The third measure starts, the third measure is the exact same thing as the first measure, okay? So we have the exact same notes, the exact same kind of movement. The fourth measure, let me pull this down just a little bit there. The fourth measure, that's where we have these continuous bends, right? So we're gonna be bending again on that 15th fret. We're gonna be bending that up a whole step to E, which is the major third. Then we're going to slide up to that E, bend that up a half step to F, just for flavor. Now here's the money shot, at least to me. We're going to now bring it down to E flat, which is right here on your 16th fret of your B string, right? That is not in C major, but we're bending that up a half step to E, which again is the major third. And then we're just gonna, again, hold it out there and we're gonna let it die. Okay, so you can see what we're doing here. Right? I mean, how beautiful is that? No reattacking. Again, you can reattack if you want to, but I'm not doing that. I'm just doing that kind of thing. That's what that is all about. And it just sounds awesome to me. It just sounds really, really cool. Okay, let's go down to the next set of measures. And again, this is a really simple example. Measure 5 and measures 7, 5 and 7 are the exact same thing as measures 1 and 3. And again, I do that on purpose because we are here in measures 1, 3, 5, and 7, we're building continuity. We're building a motif. Repetition, our best friend, you know, is repetition. We have to come to terms with that. Not that there's anything to come to terms with, because it's an amazing thing and we have to use it to our advantage. Again, it's like telling a story. You have to introduce a main theme, main characters, and you can't just introduce them and let them go away. You have to keep building the story off of them. And so that's why we're coming back and repeating a couple of times. So that makes really easy work of this, right? So now if we take a look at, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, guess what? It's the exact same thing as measure 2. But if you note, I put in here, use a rhythmic bend, right? You can see above the standard notation there on our PDF, I put in use a rhythmic bend. Because it's the same thing as measure 2, I wanted to differentiate it some way. How you do it, it doesn't matter at all. But what we're gonna do is just come to that measure again here and just do anything like that, right? Something like that. What you do with it doesn't matter at all. Okay, some sort of differentiation from the second measure, just some kind of nice, beautiful rhythmic bend, because we're bending, so there's the style. Again, technique's synonym is style. We use technique to add style to our notes, but there is such a thing as compound techniques, adding more than one level of style. And if you can stack on as many levels as possible, that is going to create your identity on the guitar. So here's a simple version of that where we've got the style already happening with a bend. But now we're gonna make that bend a rhythmic type of bend. Or again, anything you wanna do with it. My suggestion is just some kind of simple rhythmic bend there. But that's adding a second layer of style on top of it. and that just gives us more personality on the instrument, which is fantastic. Okay, and then when we go to the final measure, again, you'll notice it's very similar to measure 4, what we did before. It's, again, this is the point of the whole thing here, these continuous, beautiful bends. So we're doing the same thing where we're gonna bend from the 15th fret up to the 17th fret. We're gonna change it up a little bit here, and we're gonna go to the 18th fret, which is that F there. And we're gonna bend that up a half step. Why did I put a half step? That should not be a half step. That should be a whole step, actually. Yeah, that should be a whole step. Now that I'm looking at it, I'll change that and then repost it. But where you see in the last measure, you see fret 18 on your B string. And maybe we should do a lesson on reading tab if you don't know how to read tab. Not laughing at that. I'm just saying that, we should probably cover that. But anyway, that means we're on the 18th fret of your B string. Tab is string 1 through string 6. String 1 is your high E string. String 6 is your low E string. Anyway, that is an F note. Okay, that is in the key of C major. If we would bend that up a half step, that would be to F sharp, and that's not what we're looking for. That's not in this key. So that should be a whole bend, bending it up to G, and then we're simply gonna pull off. You see the P that's above that? We're gonna pull off to D, just to leave it hang there as it resets and goes back to the top there. So that's gonna be like this. And that brings it back down. So that is our line. It's really nice and simple. Let me play through the whole thing for you without the music first here. And now we're back at the beginning there, okay? So that's what we're doing. It's really quite simple, beautiful, utilizing these continuous bends. Again, I'm not playing with a lot of gain here on my small boxes. I'm using this Gibson Custom 335. I'm using both pickups. I'm in the middle position. I've got the bridge pickup, and this is why I love 4-knob setups. I've got the bridge, so much tone control, right? I've got the bridge pickup set at like 6.5 on the volume. I've got the neck pickup 3.5 or 4. So it's got kind of this nice clarity and a bit of bite from the bridge pickup, but not that much. We're not on 10 with the bridge pickup. And then I'm mixing in 3.5 or 4 with the neck pickup to warm it up a little bit. Again, I'm not pushing the amp all that much. There's a little bit of dirt. That's how I like it here. And I just think that tone works really, really well for this kind of thing because it does, there's a little dirt on the amp, so it does help these continuous bends come out. But if I pulled that, let's say I pulled the neck pickup all the way up, the volume all the way up. No, not that doesn't work, because it does, but it's too much for this beautiful, gentle, sensitive line that we're creating. What I might do is when it goes to the chorus and the dynamics come up, we start playing a little bit louder. That's when I'll grab onto one of these knobs and bring it up, just to go along with the dynamic increase, right there. But that's the line, really nice and simple. Again, if you're watching this recorded, pause the video now and get it into your fingers. This is one element of doing this live that I'm trying to kind of navigate as best as possible, because you're just learning this line. So are you going to be able to play it exactly? This one, maybe it's pretty simple, but you know, we do some difficult and faster lines. So I'm trying to think of the best way to do a live event, but not just throw this in your lap and expect you to, you know, be competent with it immediately. So I'll navigate that. I'll figure it out. But anyway, what we're going to do now, as always, now that we've broken it down note for note, we've had a good discussion, a comprehensive discussion of what's happening here, very easy to understand. We're going to put the music on, and as we always do, now we're going to practice it around a few times, okay? And then we're going to get into some of our virtual trading. And as I, you know, as I always say, the whole point of a lesson of the week, learning a lick or writing your own, is to just use it as an example, as a jumping off point. You know, we're not going to take this and recite it, you know, for 10 minutes straight. We're not going to do that. Utilize the concepts more than anything. Start with the example, but think much more conceptually than just reciting a line. What are the concepts here? Playing with a good amount of dynamics and bends and these continuous bends, and making it nice and sensitive and all of that good stuff. Okay, that's really what we're after here. So it's far more conceptual. We have to start with something. That's what the lesson of the week is all about, giving you something to start with, showing you how to actually use musically what you're learning. Start there, but then we got to think conceptually. But that's the lesson of the week, and that's such a fantastic resource, and that's why I started doing it. I started doing it for myself. I started writing licks every day. And I just saw the massive amount of benefit from doing, you know, such a thing. So I wanted to make sure that we got that here in Guitopia, as we have now for 14 years, good Lord. Anyway, let's get the track on. Let's just play this. Those of you who are live, just do what you can with this. Tanisha says, I like that the PDF was available before the lesson started. Yes, I posted that up this morning. I think I posted it up last night, because I was thinking, you know, maybe people can get their hands on it, get their heads wrapped around it a little bit earlier. So I will definitely continue to do that. Anyway, let's get the music on. We'll come back. We'll do all the discussion and questions at the end here. We're just going to go around a few times. We're going to practice this. We're going to get into some virtual trading. Just think conceptually about what's happening here and just have a lot of fun with it. All right, here we go. Excellent. Excellent. Great job. Again, just a little bit of back and forth there. I'm just thinking about what we're trying to accomplish here with learning this lick. Playing in C major. Again, there's a couple changes there. Beautiful changes. Very gospel changes. In the chorus. Just goes to an E7 and it goes to a D major. Again, you can read the chart. But just trying to milk as much as I can out of the guitar with bends and trying to throw in a lot of those continuous bends. So towards the beginning of our little jam there, I was trying to do, when I got into the improv and into the trading, after we practiced the line, I was doing some bends and I was kind of reversing those bends. Because you can come this way. We're kind of going up. We got a little bit of back and forth there, but it doesn't matter. The direction doesn't matter at all. It's all about just the simple concept of making this guitar speak and yell and cry and all of that awesome stuff. And bends, in my opinion, best way to do it. So this is another flavor of bend. You know, these beautiful continuous bends just add so much dynamic, so many dynamic levels here, especially on a nice wide open, beautiful track like this. You know, I really, really dig it. So I hope you dig it too. Again, as always, just read the chart, be the rhythm player first. Because you got to know how to play in 6/8. You got to know when those changes are happening. Of course, what are those little outside chords that are happening very briefly, but very important to know that as well. And then just practice the line. You know, that's what this is for. Example of using concepts and then take it from there. Okay, let's finish up. Anybody have any questions, comments, etc. About this lesson, or you have questions about this new live format that, again, we got a live event coming on Friday. We're going to do the boot camp live on Friday for pro members. Next week we're going to start doing the Guitar Path live for pro members as well. There's a lot of awesome stuff happening. Brandon says, is the style of bending we are using a form of legato? I mean, not conventionally when you think of legato as a technique, but legato as just a musical term means holding the notes out. And the opposite of that would be staccato, which means making those notes really short. So in that regard, then yes, yeah. You know, we're just kind of trying to string along these notes with our continuous bending. So in that sense, then yeah, you could think of this as legato, but this is not like a legato technique. At least I would not classify it as such. I would simply classify this as, these are bends, you know, and we're sliding them around a little bit. Legato has much more, as a technique, legato has much more to do with hammer-ons and pull-offs. Hammer-ons and pull-offs are the cornerstone of the legato technique. So we're not really doing that here. The cornerstone of what we're doing here, obviously, bending. Tom, you're very welcome. Tom says, excellent. I appreciate that, Tom. Tanisha, I love this lesson being live. Absolutely love the jam track. Thank you so much. Yeah, doing this stuff live gives me a whole new lease on doing this in general. And by this, I mean Guitopia as a whole, you know, guitar education as a whole, because it takes so much time and work, and it's great. But this is part of my process of figuring out how to make it better and more streamlined. And I personally think live events are the best kind of events. I think it's awesome to be able to ask, your teacher, your guide, whoever is in front of you, questions in the moment before you forget them. I think that's an awesome thing. If you saw the newsletter this morning or the post on Guitopia, one of my goals in 21 for Guitopia is also to have a guest instructor for a lesson of the week, at least once a month. And then beyond lessons of the week, other types of features that are coming to Guitopia. So that's gonna start in January. You're gonna get me for today and the next 2 weeks to finish up December. Then we take 2 weeks off, recharge the batteries, and then we'll hit it strong in January 21 again. And that's where at least one guest instructor will be with us for our lessons of the week and beyond. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Jay Drake, many thanks. Live format feels more personal. I agree. Eric says, thanks, you're very welcome. I think we have a landscaper outside. I apologize for that. It's part of the hazards of going live, but it's a small price to pay. But yeah, I agree. The live format feels more personal again because we're here together. We're here together live. Up till now, aside from the other live events, of course, it's all recorded stuff, which is fine. But I think this is the best way to do it. Brandon says, what ideas do you have for guest instructors? What do you mean? What ideas do I have for them? Guest instructors will be bringing whatever their ideas are, to a lesson of the week, or, with Guitopia 2, there's going to be genre paths, music production paths, etc. So, like some of the guests are going to be blues instructors, so they'll be good for the blues genre path, or jazz or funk or rock or country or whatever it's going to be. And then they'll do a lesson of the week, whatever they want to do. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I want to get a ton more people involved in doing this kind of thing because I think it's really important and a really great thing to get other perspectives. It's not easy always to get guest instructors because you got to deal with all of the logistics. But I'm going to do my best because I want more perspectives to offer up how they use all of the things that we discuss. And anybody who's an instructor on Guitopia will be a professional, will have professional level experience, not just a functioning brain, a camera, and an internet connection. That doesn't make you a teacher. I don't care if you've made a living out of doing that. It still doesn't make you the level that I want for Guitopia, which is pros, experienced, out there in the industry pros. Those are the people that I'm bringing here. That's why it's a little bit hard to find because those people are always busy. But do not worry, I've got a whole bunch lined up and it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me on our inaugural launch of Lesson of the Week Live. This has been a ton of fun. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Feel free to send in your feedback, send in your comments. Again, the whole point here is to make it as awesome and beneficial for everyone, including me, including you, to move all of this in the right direction. So I think we're on the right path. This is a really, really cool thing, and we're going to do it next week as well. All right, everybody, enjoy. Have a great week. I will see you Friday for the next live event. Take care. Bye-bye.